He's going to find himself getting passed by multiple cars, as I mentioned earlier on. So you are in a very precarious situation, but he often finds himself in these places. Doesn't qualify as well as he races. Only
Up front, they are getting with Lee Aberdeen and Luca Varani not very far apart at all here. But I just want to see how Alistair Haight deals with Marcello Kessler coming around the old hairpin.
But I would say it's not the best decision they've ever made, just not having done that under the safety car, really.
Yeah, they're taking their pit stop strategies from Ferrari lately, isn't it? What's going on?
In turn one, just too much gas on them, too much feet on the loud pedal, and apologies dropped you all the way down the order. But Philip Hammer is out in front by an 8.91 seconds. Oh, Dan Michael is a wall there, sir. And it definitely doesn't want to be hitting that earlier on as well.
Difficult, the understeer is in the dirty air through that final corner because it's such a long corner and you get dragged off into the grass very easily. He'll have the slipstream down it towards the chicane. Peterson was briefly alongside, but that slipstream has saved him and kept him in third.
Yeah, Barani now lost a little bit of time to Aberdeen, about half a second. Peterson is Pike's pushed more and forward up ahead. He's got out of the line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's just like trouble. He's not a second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's a lot of fun. Yeah. And
It's all about the entertainment.
so I hope
So
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is enjoying himself
Oh,
watching.
dear.
And the Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there. Is it really bunching up now?
Does he have it? Medeiros is going to get it. Medeiros is going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry.
Sebring, it's round 8 of the Radical Race Series here for season 1 of 2024, and we're getting down towards the business end already. At the end of tonight, we'll be 2/3 of the way through this great season, and we'll be a little bit closer to finding out who's going to be champion for the series. My name is Ewan O'Leary alongside James Parfitt once again here tonight. The regular duo are back again, and we're looking forward to another couple of nights of racing here. James, it's getting down towards the business end. Simon Edwards has a big championship lead of 24 points that really needs to be cut down by someone if we're going to get a championship finale this season.
I think these guys are going to do an absolutely stunning job as well. Not quite sure, to be honest, who's going to be able to get Simon Edwards. I'd like to think John McHutchison might give it a good old go, but Luke Maxwell's done really well. So, you know, could he? Maybe? Possibly? We'll see.
Yeah, John always gives it a go, and I do already think, unfortunately, that Luke might be a bit too far back, along with some others who he's very near to. He'll actually be fighting. He's got a bit of a job on to finish third, actually, I think, this season. Let's take a look at some of those standings instead of just telling you about them. Simon Edwards leads currently by 24 points from John McHutchison. Luke Maxwell is third, but only just ahead of Mike Booson, James Barry and Adam Tighe. They'll all fight for that third place. Paul Clark, didn't secure 7th place last week, but he certainly made a good statement for it with a win at Oulton Park. George Gonzaga finished 8th, ahead of Paul LeMay and Robert Woodward to round out the top 10. Then we've got David Walter, who snuck up into 11th ahead of Phil Glover. Michael LeMay is 13th ahead of Phil Justin and Damien G. Then we've got James Ritchie in 16th place, so Jamie Bird and Jeff McIntyre, the final drivers to have more than 100 points. Ben Cooper and Dan Webster round out the top 20 ahead of Leah Anderson. We haven't seen for a little while, actually. Sergio De La Cruz is 22nd ahead of Paul Crabb. In fact, they're on the same points. Then a bit of a gap back to David Beasley, Martina Ward and Colin Wynn, who are all tied on 53. Graham Brown is 27th ahead of Stuart Geddes and Aaron Thompson, the 29 drivers who have taken part here this season. It is a big gap at the front, and we are starting to see some groups form, if you like, in terms of the championship battle. And if you look at Simon Edwards' drop weeks, it's very, very difficult to gain points from him. I was working out earlier on that over the course of the next 3 even if he didn't appear in the next 3 rounds, and John McHutchison won every single race, he would still only be leading the championship by 11 points, would John. That's a remarkable safety net that Simon Edwards has got.
Yeah, it does seem impossible, but as we've seen in the world, nothing becomes impossible. There's always, you know, a chance that there could be something. You know, I watched a race today, right? There was only literally 5 cars in it. And basically, the guy in first went hurtling off like an absolutely trooper. It was for a schools project in America. And then he crashed. And then he went to the back of the field and he made his way all the way back through and won the race again. But it just shows you that anything can happen in racing. And I think this is what we're looking out for here as well. Anything can happen here. And I'll be interested to see how these guys get on.
It will be very interesting indeed. So let's find out. Practice is just about complete now, and we're ready to go for qualifying again. And it's going to be one of those circuits that you don't get many chances around. Only 10 minutes around here and nearly a 2-minute lap. So only the very first drivers out on the circuit are going to get 4 flying laps at this. And you'd imagine, as he always is, Simon Edwards will be one of them. And there he is, leading them out again.
Yeah, he's out in front, which is great to see, and as always he will be, and tries to muscle his way and gets out in front. They've got to get the laps in, right? I'm just impressed that this man, the Scotsman, of course, John McHutchison, is here as well, which is a great job. And we've got the 3 main protagonists at the front of the field, right? Simon Edwards, John McHutchison, and of course behind that is Luke Maxwell. So let's see what happens. I'm excited. I think it's great. I'm also very upset and very gutted that I missed Paul Clark's first win last week. Not happy about that one, Ewan, at all.
Yeah, he did take a fantastic win in the feature race 1 week ago, and it was a very special win indeed. He was, as you can imagine, very pleased, very surprised actually. He said at the end of the race that he didn't do any practice for it, and well, barely any. I can't use the phrase he actually is. Barely any practice for the race and the round, and he was fantastically pleased with it. He said he was dedicating that win to his mate Mark, who passed away last year, and they started racing in the Radicals together at Oulton Park in 2018, and so it was a very special win for him, and at the location that it was at as well. Very special win for Paul Clark 1 week ago. So hopefully he can replicate that and do it again. But I do get the feeling it was one of those races, James, where you see one driver get out front from early and then sort of get away from the rest of the field and then can't be caught. I get the feeling that because Oulton Park is, of course, quite difficult to overtake on, this is a bit different here. I feel like a result like that, certainly in the manner that Paul Clark won last week, is going to be very difficult to pull that off again at Sebring, which is a bit more open, a few more chances to overtake.
Yeah, I think Sebring here, mainly what we're looking at is the Almond Straight, right? Getting that run down the Almond Straight. Now, I would sit here and say that's their only possibility. But I would also sit back and go, we've seen these cars do it anywhere. We've seen these guys throw it down the inside. We've seen them do it wherever they feel on track they're close enough and got the opportunity, right? So I'm not entirely sure that I would be sitting there saying that that's the only opportunity, but I would be sitting there saying, well, I think, there's going to be more overtakes than we think here.
It's going to be a few, I think, especially in the reverse grid race, which we're looking forward to. That will be 13 laps here tonight, by the way. So we've gotten the first laps underway. A lot of sectors around here, and so far Edwards, McCutcheon and Maxwell share one each in terms of their opening three sectors. If that doesn't say everything you need to know about this series in the last few seasons, then I don't know what really will. Those three have been the main protagonists for some time now.
Yeah, they have. I don't really know how anybody's going to catch them, to be honest, because they've been up there now for how many seasons we've been on this? 4, 5 seasons at least, and we've seen the same three people. And it's a shame because I think some people on their day have got pace. David Walters has got pace, Paul Clark, Jamie Bird, Mike Bousson, Paul Crabb, they've all got the pace to be there. James Barry, James McRitchie, they've all got it there. But it's the consistency that I think they struggle with, the consistency to keep up at that level through the whole entire races, and I think that's where the problem lies.
Let's see what the first times are going to be over the line here. Simon Edwards will set the benchmark, followed by McCutcheon, then Maxwell, and it's actually Edwards who's got an off track on his opening lap here, and so McCutcheon will set the benchmark, and he's about 2.5 tenths quicker than Luke Maxwell. There are some good sectors coming in from someone else though, a bit further down the field, because a few of them got stolen away from the front three, and Phil Glover's got one of them. The third last sector has gone to Phil Glover, who doesn't normally qualify very well by his own admission, and he goes 10th on his first lap. Sergio De La Cruz has also got one. He's stolen one away and making his way through the final corner right now. Thought James Barry might have them actually, but I don't even think he's out on the circuit or even here.
Yeah, he is.
De La Cruz goes over the line. There is James Barry. He's not setting a time though. 4th place for De La Cruz, and that's 9 tenths away. The gaps are pretty large around this circuit, which you'd expect with its length.
Yeah, you would. It's a 154, 155 circuit. I think if you break into the 155s, you would do a good job to be able to get near the front or somewhere in the top 10. I think it's going to take special people to get down into the 154s, like McCutcheon and Maxwell, possibly Edwards if he can get a time on the board at the moment. So I'll be interested to see how these go. But if it is McCutcheon, Maxwell and Edwards in the 154s, I think everybody else is going to struggle. As we can see here with Simon Edwards, did have an off track on last time out as well, so he did invalidate his lap. That's why he hasn't got one here on the board currently at the moment, but I think he should have one fairly soon.
Yeah, not sure it's going to set the world on fire though, based on what we're seeing at the moment. A couple of purples in there, but 3 yellows which suggests he's down on his previous best. And the sectors where he didn't go off, by the way, will count. So you can read something into that. Over the line goes Edwards, and he will go to the top. So very marginally goes ahead. What about LeMay and Crab? They're both going quickly. Paul LeMay goes up to third, only to be displaced by Crab, and they now share the second row provisionally. So good times from those two. In the pit lane for John McCutcheon, who fancies another set of tyres, which means he'll only have one more go at this if he gets round in time.
Not going to make it.
I don't think he is either. Well, I think it's going to be very close.
It's not.
But
154 is 154 is over 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Never
But
gonna make
150. Two of them is 3 minutes 36, and he was exiting the pit lane before then. So I think he may well sneak in, but let's see if he does or not. James Barry is going to set his first lap time of the day as well here. Not sure why he waited for a lap actually, but he did, and now he's only given himself one more chance after this one. So only 2 laps for James Barry. Clearly that's where the tyres like to be kept. Over the line for him, only 8th. That's not a good start for him, but we do know the second lap tends to be quicker, although that hasn't been proven particularly true in this session.
Definitely not, but you can see how many people now have broken into that 154s. Some just inside on a 154.9 and a 154.8. Then you've got Maxwell, LeMay, Crab, McCutcheon and Edwards, who are well inside, half a second at least inside there as well. So they're absolutely flying up the front here. It's going to be, I think this could be a bit tighter than we think, mate. I think this is the thing here, Ewan. I think we could be in for a very close-knit race.
Well, let's hope so. We certainly enjoy seeing it. There's Barry making his way out of the final corner now. Final times, or second to last time, sorry, going to come in for the leaders. Edwards over the line again, but so many yellow sectors. Surely this is going to be no improvement. They've said that before. That won't be on that occasion. Maxwell, also not many improvements. Paul Clark's going a bit quicker, and he's making his way towards the line at the moment, but what can he do? McCutcheon is very close here, and it doesn't look like he's making it here. Clark does go to 6th. There's the cut-off. McCutcheon's not making it, although it's not a disaster. He is still second.
We did say it was going to be very close, but very close is 10 seconds too short. Unless all of a sudden he gets a miraculous flyer and a tow round every single corner, he ain't getting through that line, I can tell you that much. Simon Edwards is going to be able to make it as well. He's on his way round from the hairpin up that run into Fangio and off into turns 10 and Collier, of course, here as well. James Barry might make it. Luke Maxwell is in 5th. That's going to be very tight. John McCutcheon, too far back there as well. Paul LeMay should make it, along with Paul Crab, and possibly who's down in 14th. Graham Brown, I think, could get there, but again, it's going to be very close for him.
What about James Barry? He's improved massively. Second place for James Barry over the line, and pretty close to pole actually. Half a tenth quicker than John McCutcheon, who's now pushed down to 3rd. Simon Edwards improving again though. Could he even get a 53? That would be quite outrageous, but you wouldn't put it past him in this situation. Luke Maxwell just doesn't look like he can go any quicker at this stage really. He's gone personal best in the first couple, or 2 out of the first 3, but not really sustained pace from him right now. Here goes Edwards towards the final corner through Sunset Bend, over the bumps, taming them as best he can, running it out towards the wall, and now heads up towards the line, keeps it to the left hand side to shorten the distance. Is it going to be quicker? It will only be marginal if so, and he is quicker. Surely that's the pole position lap from Simon Edwards. Luke Maxwell's only half a second away from taking that off. In LeMay goes quicker. That was a good time from him. And Graham Brown goes to 5th place as well. That final lap for him was very useful indeed.
Yeah, Graham Brown did an absolute stellar job. He had greens and purples and everything on the board there as well for Graham. He tried his hardest, but he's finished in 5th. But there's a grid for you, sir.
Simon Edwards with the pole position, and he might have needed that improvement at the end with the charge of Paul LeMay. James Barry with his second and final lap time of the session got to 3rd ahead of John McCutcheon, who didn't have time for his final lap. Graham Brown with that late lap getting up to 5th place ahead of 2-time champion Paul Crab. Luke Maxwell finds himself down in 7th ahead of Paul Clark, with Sergio De La Cruz and George Gonzaga on the fifth row. James Ritchie and Jamie Bird got pushed out of that top 10 towards the end there, with Mike Booson a long way back in 13th compared to his championship position of 4th. Michael LeMay is alongside him with Phil Glover and David Walters on row 8. Jeff McIntyre and Phil Jocelyn, the final drivers to set times. I don't believe David Beasley did in that session, although I could be wrong. And hopefully we get him and all the other 18 drivers on the grid for this race. The Edwards from the front, but it's a little bit of a mixed up grid actually.
I do love the fact that Paul LeMay's on the front row. If we remember correctly, he was on pole the last time I remember a Paul LeMay at Sebring, and didn't go anywhere at all.
Yeah.
He didn't even get off the... it caused a little bit of carnage.
It's the SR8 season, whichever one that was.
I don't know.
Ask me for numbers.
No,
Maybe season 2 of last year?
Possibly.
What I go for. But yeah, I remember it. I don't know if it was the absolute last time we were here, but it was one of the last times we were here. And you're right, I remember that too. He went completely nowhere. He was about 4th as he crossed the checkered flag there on the start finish line, as you can see. Just terrible start. Let's hope for something better today. It's race 1 at Sebring. Round 8 here in the Radical Race Series for 2024. And we are underway. Is it a better start? It's certainly a good one from James Barry here. Good initial launch from him off the line. And he's already alongside LeMay, who again hasn't really got anywhere here. And he's getting swarmed. 4 wide into turn 1. Big move on the inside there. And the outside drivers feeling the effects of that one. But into turn 1 and 2. Simon Edwards leads the way. James Barry with a good start up to 2nd. And John McCutcheon was 3rd. But he goes straight off the road and back to 4th place at the expense of Paul Crabb.
Yeah, some people benefited from that. Some people didn't. I will say Michael LeMay and David Walters have not benefited from this start whatsoever. I'm not entirely sure what happened here between these two, but whatever it was, it sent them both into the pits here, as both of these men have unfortunately had to take a pit stop. Now, I'm not entirely sure they were just about going here as well, but David Walters and Michael LeMay, you can see on the... Oh, that's what happened. They didn't get past the start one.
Yeah, off the start completely, so... Slightly odd, but that's what's happened, and unfortunately it's been an incident between Jamie Bird and Phil Glover at the back of the field. Jamie Bird again at the back. Oh, Simon Edwards! He's been tipped around by James Barry, who just gets slightly too close to him off of Tower Corner, and Simon Edwards has to put on a huge save. Now John McCutcheon goes through, Paul Crabb as well. I think Barry's trying to give up the place again, but Edwards is losing speed here. 4th place for him now. What a dramatic opening lap to this race.
Yeah, definitely has here, and we'll have a look back and see what happened to Simon Edwards. Did he lose it under contact? That's the question. Was there contact with James Barry? I think from our perspective, there looked like there was, but at the same time, it probably looked a little bit too close as Luke Maxwell's trying to go around the outside of Barry, who's defending here as well, but he's going to run all the way out wide. Just manages to hold it on there for James Barry, and now he's definitely under attack from Luke Maxwell.
There was slight contact there, and here goes Edwards looking for the inside. Crabb, though, is the one who makes the move on the inside of turn 1, right round the outside from James Barry. Side by side, they'll go into the 3rd turn, and it will be Crabb through ahead of Barry, and then Simon Edwards, Luke Maxwell 5th, and then Paul LeMay 6th. Sergio De La Cruz gets past George Gonzaga for 7th place, although only briefly. They'll go side by side around Big Ben now, as this group may split off slightly. That's from 7th place on backwards, and still side by side towards the hairpin.
There they are at the moment, battling away. Let's see how they all get on. Maxwell sitting down behind Edwards. He's chasing him down. Simon Edwards has got James Barry tucked up right behind him. We've got George Gonzaga, who's got Mike Bousson further back with Sergio De La Cruz and Graham Brown behind that as well. So the whole field spread out here. Bousson sticks his nose up. Gonzaga's coming. Looks, oh, that's actually Jocelyn, isn't it? It's not Gonzaga. They're near enough the same livery. But they're doing an absolutely stellar job of McCutcheon out front at the moment.
Well, that's a big lead for John McCutcheon now, and he might well be on course for another win here. It was a whopping 60 points for him last time out at Suzuka, by the way. And he's closing in, or thought he was going to close in on Simon Edwards. In the end, did not. In fact, the only amount of points, the biggest amount of points he could gain today is only 8 on Simon Edwards. That squad of season Edwards has had so far in this Radical Race Series, but he's down in 4th at the moment. It's very close for 2nd place here, by the way. So Paul Crabb is getting overtaken by James Barry, and Edwards is near Maxwell. It's all going on into the Sunset Bend. Crabb and Barry still swapping positions at the moment. It's Crabb on the inside. Here we go with Barry on the outside, and now Maxwell trying to get involved with Edwards, who's almost being forced to try and make a move here in defence. Here we go, 3 wide as through the middle goes Paul LeMay. That's ambitious from him, and it's not quite going to work. Maxwell nearly goes straight into the side of him, and here goes James Barry again. Back and forth, this battle never ends. Crabb back to 2nd again.
Crabb holding on there as well. He's becoming a cork in a bottle with Barry, Edwards, Maxwell, LeMay and Brown now all in the back. Gonzaga's there as well. Sergio Dela Cruz fighting this one out. All of the while they're doing this, John McCutcheon is saying thank you very much. LeMay on the defense. Gonzaga there as well, trying to squeeze through. He's got Boost on and Dela Cruz. Up through the S's they go, and they're absolutely neck and neck at the moment. Paul Crabb and James Barry side by side here.
And again, side by side between these two. Barry and Crabb both look like they're sitting ducks once they're in front, but when they're behind, they're ruthless attackers. And now Barry has struck. He's through, and it was a big slide from Crabb there that has got in the way of Simon Edwards. So Maxwell's now through off camera, and there he goes. There he's through, but into the grass. And Edward will, by the looks of it, go back through again, and there he goes around the outside through Bishop. He'll be back to 4th place again, and maybe Paul LeMay is going to get involved now with Luke Maxwell, who goes a little bit wide into the Le Mans chicane, but LeMay's going to have the inside line for the final corner, and Maxwell will have to come back at him again. But a great start to this race with this battle, and it won't end just yet.
George Gonzaga there trying to make his move past Luke Maxwell. Maxwell's on our inside at the moment as well. There he is there. Now we're going to set chase here. Here we go from Gonzaga. He's tightened up the last corner. Is he going to be able to get the run? Paul LeMay was slow on the brakes coming out there as well. He's now got to look back and see if he can make some pace going forward, because he was slow coming out of Sunset here, which brought Maxwell and Gonzaga right into the mix. So let's see what happens. But Paul Crabb doing the stellar job. But boy, oh boy, is he a cork in a bottle.
Well, he is at the moment, but as I said earlier, every time either Barry or Crabb seem to lead the group, they seem to be pretty helpless, but when they're behind, they seem to gain a lot of speed for some reason, and not just talking about slipstream on the straights. It seems to be everywhere. But now that Barry's freed himself, how is this group going to change? Now it's Crabb who's leading the way. It seems to be a bit more settled, with Simon Edwards yet to really make overtakes today. George Gonzaga's making sure that he is making one, though. That was a huge dive down the inside, and actually it's gone wrong for him. Maxwell's gone back through, and it seems like Brown may have as well. Meanwhile, Crabb and Edwards are going at it into the next turn. It's side by side with outside line for Edwards and a slide in a very similar way to last lap for Paul Crabb, who loses 3rd place.
Yeah, Simon Edwards does make it through. That's going to allow him to set after John McCutcheon. Is he going to be able to get close to McCutcheon or Barry? That's going to be the question. With the long straights here at Sebring, down that long back Holman, it's going to be very tough for him to get away. Sergio Dela Cruz side by side with Gonzaga. Gonzaga holds the inside, the outside. Dela Cruz slips up the inside. But this is going to be the moment for Edwards. Can he get away? And he's only got 3.5 tenths, and I don't think it's going to be possible for him.
Well, this is a lot of weaving now, and Paul Crabb is not really gaining in the slipstream. That seems to be a theme when you're behind Simon Edwards. He does have very slick cars very often in a straight line anyway, and that certainly helped him hold on to 3rd place right now. Still a queue of 5 drivers behind him, including Mike Bousson, who has made up 5 places so far in this first race, and hopefully he's got himself inside the top 10 as well. So a good recovery from Mike after a maybe below par qualifying.
Yeah, it definitely was there. Simon Edwards is in the gravel coming out of turn 1 into 2 there as well, and unfortunately he's now bringing Crabb in again here. But can Crabb get close? That's going to be the question. What about Paul LeMay? He's doing an absolutely stellar job as we set after Paul Crabb. However, he is down 3 from where he started. I think Sebring is just a Paul Crabb can't pull away series, because he just doesn't ever get off the line. And he nearly ended up in the back there of Paul Crabb. So for Paul LeMay, put himself under danger from Luke Maxwell.
It's very close between the two, but they've figured it out, and they're going side by side again into Cunningham. This is close, and inside for Maxwell should prevail. He's finding this tricky though. He's starting to lose touch with the likes of Edwards and Crabb out front, and here goes Booster now on the inside of Brown. Side by side they'll go into Tower corner, and the outside very much has diminishing returns there, and so Booston's going to switch back to the inside. Nice move actually. He'll be on the outside for Bishop, but that's okay because it's flat out for the both of them. They'll run absolutely neck and neck now into the next chicane, and Booston will go through with the commitment on the outside through Bishop. Gets the easy braking manoeuvre down the inside at Le Mans.
Yeah, Bousson trying to make a recovery through there. Edwards weaving more times than my nan knitting a jumper at the moment. Here as well, he's all the way across left and right over that Ullman. He's trying to break the TO. It's just not, unfortunately, happening. Crabb's just not letting him go. He's not really pulling a little bit of time over Barry. He spends a lot of time trying to defend, and Crabb's keeping him honest here.
He is very much so, but I don't know if I see him going through it right now. Fifth lap now completes at Sebring, still 3 to go, and it's pretty close for these two. Not close, of course, for McCutcheon and Barry, who are well out front between themselves right now, but this battle for third is still not bad, and Maxwell on backwards for 5th place. It's a good fight up here as well. So far the top 10 seem pretty secure. Jeff McIntyre, the first of those outside, trying to break in to gain pole position maybe for the second race.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see top 10. Gonzaga's holding it at the moment with McIntyre behind. He's too far back, I think, to be able to catch him. So Paul Clark, is still inside. He's still start on the front row. So as long as these two can maintain this position and not bring McIntyre into it, I think that is what will count here. But I've got a funny feeling they're fighting. It's going to bring McIntyre into it. Gonzaga goes up the front here as well. McIntyre now not too far away. Edwards still can't get rid of Crabb here. He's still stuck with him. Going round Tower on the run down into Bishop. And Crabb is not letting Edwards go.
Yeah, just as I said, the top 10 is set. The 11th place started to make moves, so there we are, typical. But anyway, 3rd place is certainly a lot closer. Crabb is looking pretty threatening, but it's always so difficult to overtake Simon Edwards, because when you're behind someone with such good straight line speed, you've got to find somewhere else to make the moves, and that's proving very difficult. Edwards did make a slight mistake out of Le Mans though. He's made his one weave, and so can't realistically defend to the inside, although slightly does. Not enough though. And Crabb will go down the inside. He wasn't deterred, and he goes very deep into the turn as well. Both of them missed the apex by miles, more focused on each other than the corner itself. But Edwards hangs on again, and a bit more straight line speed will get him a bit further ahead before turn 1 as well. He'll cover the inside, and it will be position 3 for Edwards again. What about Crabb into turn 3 though? This could be the move. He looks to the inside, but Edwards blocks again and stops him from going through.
Yeah, absolutely there as well. Crabb's not giving up, that's the thing. Neither is Maxwell, neither is LeMay, and neither is Bousson. So we've still got a fight on our hands as we got this one and one more to go here, Ewan. I think this is going to be a very interesting last couple of laps.
Yeah, it certainly is. Into the hairpin we go, and it's Bousson making more moves. Now 6th place. 7 places gained in this race for Mike Bousson, ahead of Paul LeMay and Graham Brown now. So add another one to the list, and you might even expect him to get Maxwell by the end, or at least give him a run for his money here for 5th position, because Bousson can't seem to be stopped by anyone in race 1 so far.
Yeah, Bousson trying to make his way through the field. He's now up behind Maxwell. Is he going to be able to break away? Is he going to be able to get past Maxwell? That's going to be the question. Can he make this place forward? Can he have enough in his tank to get Maxwell and then get Crabb? I don't know if he's going to have enough laps to do it. He's got this and one more to go, and I've got a funny feeling he's going to stick. He's going to be stuck here.
Yeah, it's out of the final or into the final corner where it's going to happen here for these guys. Maxwell, the one who'll probably be most worried, but Bousson probably should be. It's LeMay who's closest to making the move. He looks to the inside, but no, can't make his way through on Booston here, who sort of half covers, half attacks in one go. The final lap brought up by John McCutcheon, who's led every single one of the 8 laps so far in this race, or the 7 laps so far. You'd imagine he will lead the 8th one as well to take another race win as Maxwell defends. Here goes Booston to the inside. What a move that is!
Oh.
Very narrow. There's contact. Maxwell off the road, and LeMay and Brown will both go through.
Yeah, now Maxwell is going to have an even bigger job here to try and get past these guys. But Bousson is flying, absolutely flying here as well. So great job from Mike Bousson. Stellar job here, and he has proven he's way in the tie now, up 8 places.
Certainly would. What a fantastic drive from Mike Bousson to gain 8 places in one. It kind of makes me think that it wasn't a poor pace in qualifying, but something must have gone wrong in terms of his laps that he did. They must have been below where he could be, because he's driven a lot better in the race. Now it's the move for the inside for Brown, who's looking to pass Michael LeMay for 6th position, and Maxwell will try and get involved as well. Into Tower Corner. He can't really find the room though, and stays in 8th place, so there's only one chance left for him really.
Yeah, it's only got one more to go, and that's coming down the Ullman at the back here as well. You can see McCutcheon running all the way down the Ullman. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see how it gets on, whether or not McCutcheon's going to be able to clear Brown. Every point counts for Luke, and that's got to be the thing. Every point needs to count here again, but John McCutcheon on his way round.
He is out of the final corner, and John McCutcheon going to take another famous win. It's the first race at Sebring to John McCutcheon here in the Radical Race Series by nearly 6 seconds in the end. What about the fight into the final corner? It's not going to be it for Luke Maxwell. He's going to start from 3rd, and he'll surely be disappointed with his finishing position here.
Yeah, he will be. He got tied up, didn't he? And that was the problem. What's happening with Sergio De La Cruz as he's on the run down to the line as well. De La Cruz doesn't make it past McIntyre, but there as well. So all the others starting to come over the line here as well. Some great action going on here from these guys. I think that's really impressive. And David Waters does stay in the race, but unfortunately he's all the way down in last place.
He's a very long way back, and so we've got to watch him finish the race as well, as it turns out.
Unfortunately, we have to before I can get the results. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So we could be here for a while. I don't really know what happened to Sergio De La Cruz throughout that race, but he was battling for 7th with George Gonzaga initially. They both made sort of simultaneous starts where they both gained 2 places, but all of a sudden now he's finished down in 12th, just behind Jeff McIntyre.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. He went off track a little bit here. But I'm wondering if this is where most of the problems lied. Oh, that was just after what we saw, actually. That was what we were watching, and then we come away just at the end, and then that is why Sergio De La Cruz unfortunately lost time.
It is. That's how he finished down in 12th place. A lot of work for him to do in this second one. There's David Walters finally crossing the line, and the race will be complete eventually.
There you go.
Now that he's finished, so we can now bring up the results, and no surprises that John McCutcheon is the winner. Nearly 6 seconds ahead of James Barry, who got away from those battles in the end. Simon Edwards was catching him, but he was also on his own to the line in 3rd. Paul Crabb held off Mike Bousson, Paul LeMay, Graham Brown and Luke Maxwell to the line in that group. Then it was George Gonzaga and Paul Clark who will be on the front row for the next one. Jeff McIntyre and Sergio De La Cruz were separated by a very small margin for 11th. Jamie Bird was 13th after an opening lap incident with Phil Glover, who was 15th. Between them was Phil Jocelyn and then David Walters, the final driver on the lead lap. James McRitchie and Michael LeMay, for whatever reason, did not complete the race. David Beasley didn't take part at all. Don't know really what happened to McRitchie and LeMay actually. Sorry, that was the one off the very start, wasn't it? On the start line, so I remember that. So yeah, a few incidents on lap 1, but it wasn't bad at all. We'll see how this reverse grid race goes, where it always gets interesting.
Yeah. I don't know how it's going to go here, Ewan. As we both know, it gets very, very interesting. But then it can be an absolutely blinding race. So I'm really excited, looking forward to it. But let's see what goes on.
We'll see. We've got, of course, a little bit of warm-up, and then we'll have the second race as well. I mean, McCutcheon has to do this, doesn't he? He has to win and at least beat Edwards in these races, because as I said, even if he wins both, he'll only gain 8 points on Simon Edwards, and he's got to start working away at that margin because 24 points is fairly large. Also, by the way, introduced for this season are 3 bonus points if you complete more than 75% of the race and receive no incident points throughout completing the race. So if John McCutcheon was able to get out front early there and get no incident points, then he might have bagged an extra 3 points as well. And they don't count towards your drop rounds. They're just bonus points separately assigned. So I believe he could have gained an extra 3 points there, but maybe not equally. That's an interesting development, isn't it? I guess it encourages clean racing, or tries to.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. They've been trying to encourage clean race in general with the steward system coming up as well. So I'm hoping that, it helps here. And it did kind of help in that run race, to be fair. But it's a good for race 2.
Let's have a look. And, of course, it will be Paul Clark and George Gonzaga off the front row with Luke Maxwell and Graham Brown behind. Paul LeMay and Mike Busson will resume their battle from row 3 with Paul Crabb and Simon Edwards, multiple series champions, on row 4. James Barry and John McCutcheon next to Jeff McIntyre and Sergi Dela Cruz. And these guys, of course, outside the top 10 are those who have finished the first race in these positions. The rest of the grid will scroll through in a moment.
Yep.
When it wants to.
Sorry, go in now. There you go.
It's Jamie Bird and Phil Johnson. Phil Glow, and we're indeed going to get underway as well for this race start very quickly indeed. Everybody's ready to go, and we're underway. Paul Clark with the start of the front of the field, looking for a second win in 2 weeks, but it's George Gonzaga right round the outside. He's briefly in the lead, and it's carnage off of the exit of turn number 1. Maxwell looking in a decent position at the moment as David Walters ends up off the road, and there's the contact. Luke Maxwell and Paul Clark involved in contact, and that one is going to be argued about between them.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's going to be looked at from the stewards, I'm sure, here because of that incident there. Did Luke have a right of passage to go up the inside? Was the space there? I'm sure it will all get argued as they're running down into the hairpin now as well. Mike Buson's left a wide arc. He was following Graham Brown. I think from Mike, it would look like he was almost following Graham Brown off the side of the circuit there for Mike Buson.
Yeah, it was a very much an outbreaking manoeuvre there. Into Cunningham we go, and it's mostly sorted itself out single file now. McCutcheon's made a great start, up to 4th place again, and that's fantastic news for him. Not good news for Simon Edwards, who hasn't made a terrible start by any stretch of the imagination. He has gained 2 places, but he is still 2 behind McCutcheon, and that's a bad run off Tower Corner. Gonzaga goes through, and LeMay will try and go through here as well. A Bishop and does. Edwards back to 8th place, back to where he started.
Sergio Dela Cruz trying to climb up the back of him as well. James McRitchie behind that. Jeff McIntyre, Jamie Bird. Paul Clark's all the way down here. Graham Brown looks like he may have had an incident as well. Well, let's see what happened to Paul Clark. Was it coming off the incident with... should he have given more room to Maxwell? That's the question. As they're now going side by side, going into the final corner here, Ewan.
That's the debate, really, isn't it? Into turn 3. Should he have given more space? Should Maxwell have backed out from that point of view? I think Maxwell was quite close to the curb on the left-hand side, to be honest, and it would have been difficult to do anything else as Paul Crabb now attacks Luke Maxwell for the lead. Down the inside at turn 3, Paul Crabb has gone from 7th place to 1st in a matter of a lap and a bit. That's a remarkable rise to the front of the field for him.
Yeah, Crabb was doing very well in race 1, and he's doing even better in race 2. He looks like he's got this hooked up. Mike Buson, John McCutcheon, James Barry battling away here as well as they're on that run down into the hairpin. Barry's got the inside line. McCutcheon trying to go around the outside. Buson trying to go up the inside. Buson's got pace for days here. McCutcheon not as much as what Buson by the looks of it has got. How is this going to work in conjunction with team orders?
Well, they tell us multiple times there are no team orders, of course, so it's going to be interesting nevertheless to see how they interact with one another. Barry and McCutcheon, of course, have come together in the past, and they're going side by side again now, but McCutcheon prevails this time, up to 3rd place, and Barry down to 4th, now with Buson right behind. If he gets this good run off of Tower Corner, he could be right alongside of Bishop, and that's exactly what's happened. He'll be up on the curbs here, looking for a way round the outside, and they'll both keep their foot in. absolutely flat out through the left-hander. And now side by side to the chicane. Bousson needs to dive for the apex here at Le Mans, but he doesn't. He decides to tuck back into line, and that could be a bit of an error, as LeMay will have the run on him down the Ormond Straight.
Yeah, Maxwell's further up. He's going to have to run on Paul Crabb. Is he coming into Sunset here? Keeping this honest. Is he going to look at the inside? He's not. What about Bousson? He's gone past LeMay. Is he going to be able to get Barry? He's not going to be able to get Barry here either. Some great action further down as well with David Walters and Jeff McIntyre. I'll check in with them guys very, very shortly, but there is still battle in here. Barry and Bousson side by side coming into turn one. If Bousson tries that outside line, Barry's just got to open up the steering, and then it's going to be in trouble for Bousson. But I think Bousson might have got the legs on him. He's got some legs. He hasn't got enough of the legs though. Here once more, and now Barry still gets it back. Gonzaga gets it back as well, and Martina De La Cruz is off on that corner by missing the apex.
Martina De La Cruz, where's that come from?
Martinez De La Cruz. That's the one. Sergio Martinez De La Cruz, sorry.
Name mash here. Edwards and McRitchie and Gonzaga are all very close to one another, with Paul LeMay as well here. Edwards looking to regain some of those places lost on the opening lap, and it's going to do that round the outside of the hairpin. That would be bizarre, but he's managed it. 6th place for him now, and LeMay may well pay for it there. And he's not pleased about it. Don't know why especially, but anyway, McRitchie will go through. Gonzaga right behind may well try and follow through, and that's very close again. LeMay up the curb, and he will hold on to 8th place at least.
He is at the moment, but he's struggling. Gonzaga coming behind him as well. Here once again they go through Tower on that run down into Bishop now as well. Gonzaga tucked up alongside LeMay. They're side by side here, Ewan. How is this one going to work out as well? Is Gonzaga going to keep hold of the inside?
Well, up front, by the way, Maxwell got the lead back again, but LeMay is going to be dived here by Gonzaga, and yeah, he will hold on. Oh no, he won't hold on, and Gonzaga spins himself after trying to make the move. Well, I'm not sure whether he was even trying or whether it was just an error, but he makes the mistake and he goes around back down the field. So LeMay will hang on to 8th position for the moment. But yes, the change of the lead up front of the field. Luke Maxwell now ahead of Crabb again. A battle that seems to keep going back and forth again.
And they're still fighting out, but they're very, very close. Is Crabb and Maxwell. Maxwell fastest lap, but Hutchinson's just taken it 1:54.558. 1.2 seconds quicker than the guys in front. This could be a freeway fight as we're only on lap 4 or 13. We've still got 9 more to go here, Ewan, and they're still tucking up here, still fighting away, but Hutchinson's closing. He's down to a second now as well. This is going to be a freeway fight before long.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even if they don't fight, I think McCutcheon might well catch them. He's been so quick so far today that he could catch anybody at the moment, but he's got that work to do still. Now that the gap dips below a second, you can just see on the left-hand side. Crabb doesn't really get close enough to Maxwell to make a dive at the hairpin, but Bousson is very close to James Barry for 4th place. A fantastic exit out of the hairpin from him, and he's going to look for the move at the very next braking zone, which is turn 10, of course, the right-hander, and he looks like, yes, he will go through. Well, we'll see. We'll find out. Barry will still be ahead, excuse me. So, as they pop back into shot, briefly, Barry is still ahead of Bousson with Edwards catching, and that battle for 4th place is helping the championship leader.
Yeah, he is here as well. Simon Edwards up with Bousson with Barry as well. McCutcheon now got into the half a second draft work here as well. You're going to see him close coming down the Ullman. It doesn't look as effective as it was normally. I think the only one that could benefit from the draft is really Edwards, but that's partly because of the skinny wing setup that Edwards runs here, and he can make the most of it, and he can stay ahead of it here. Bousson with Barry now. Bousson's going to go and slide up the inside. He's going to have that run into Sunset. He's going to get through here. Great job from Mike Bousson. He's through and done, and James Barry's got to look at coming back in turn 1 as they exit here as well. Bousson hugs the inside line. He's going to be early on the brakes once more as he goes into turn 1. Barry's ahead of him. Barry's going to try and go around the outside here, Ewan. I don't know how easy this is going to be.
Well, not very, I think, is the answer to that one. Looks up the inside again. Can't do it there. And Bousson hangs on to what will be 4th place. Then it's Edwards, James McRitchie, Paul LeMay, Jamie Bird and Sergio De La Cruz to round off the top 10. But Edwards is really not, having a fantastic day so far. He is going to lose points in the championship today, but as I said earlier, it won't be many as things stand. In fact, he would still gain a single point if things stay as they are, with McCutcheon still in third position. It is round 8, of course. We've got just 4 more after this one, the final third of the season coming up starting from next week.
Yeah, it's gone quick again, hasn't it? 12 weeks of racing has been incredibly quick. Actually, it was 11 because we missed one over the Christmas period. But it has gone fast again, and we will be back again next season as well. So there we go.
They did have round 3, but we didn't broadcast it.
Okay, they did have it. Because we didn't know how many was going to be there, and obviously I wanted a holiday. No offence. I haven't had a holiday since May, so, you know.
Yes. Maxwell still leads the way, then ahead of Crabb and McCutcheon. And this is a proper 3-way leading battle now, and McCutcheon has got to strike and try and take this race win away. How is he going to do this, though? It could be tricky, because if he fights with Crabb too much, it could allow Maxwell to get away.
Yeah, but I don't think they will. I think Paul Crabb has got enough to stay with Maxwell. I don't think Maxwell here has quite got the pace to open the door. I think McCutcheon's got a bit in the bag as well. Crabb looks like he's got a bit in the bag again. Buson's definitely got some left in the bag as he's trying to come through. And once again, this is what I mean. Paul Crabb does take the position away up the inside. Maxwell's going to try and have it on the run down to 2. He's trying to go around the outside. He's got to take it wide, though. Crabb's going to come in last on the late breakers and take it away from him. So I think Crabb's holding on to it here.
And McCutcheon was going to hedge his bets there and follow whoever prevailed through. And he sent Maxwell up to the grass. He sent himself there, really, did Maxwell. But now with the slipstream around Big Bend, he's going to get the inside line and maybe the place. But no, he backs off into the hairpin. That is interesting. Backs off, doesn't go side by side with McCutcheon, maybe with a view to coming back a bit later, because if he would have prolonged that fight, then maybe Crabb could have got away with the race lead.
Barry and Buson still going at it. It's keeping Edwards behind him. Edwards has got nowhere to go. He can't get through on Buson. He can't get through on Barry because they're side by side here, and they're going to struggle back for Edwards. He can't find a gap. He's either got to try and pick a move and go for it, or he's just got to sit there and follow because of how they're battling. It's so tough being in that following position because you can't get through.
And he went very wide at Tower Corner there, did Mike Buson. And so here goes James Barry, looking for the outside line around Bishop. It's a long way round, and he's given a lot of space to Buson. Very generous, and he does get the inside in the position. Edwards follows straight through to 5th as well.
Edwards followed Barry through, decided I'm going to go and have a go myself here. What's going on with McCutcheon? He's trying to get hold of Crabb here again. John up 8 places, sitting in 2nd at the moment. Can he get up into that 1st place? Well, time's going to tell. We've still got 7 laps of this here as well. 7 laps. That is absolutely incredible that we're only not even halfway through yet.
And there's still a lot more to give here. McCutcheon is very close to a race lead, and he's going for it in turn 1. Here we go on the outside line, and he's not going to do it. He backs off, but doesn't really go for a cutback either. Crabb saw it coming, and so fends him off, and successfully so as well. And so Crabb still leads ahead of McCutcheon, and I thought that was going to be the dive at turn 5. Not to be.
Definitely not here, but Maxwell's trying. He's keeping McCutcheon honest, and he goes around the outside. Is he going to now get the outside line for the hairpin? McCutcheon, he's going to give it a go. He's forced John to tighten up the entry. Now John's going to be in the position where he should come under attack. Unfortunately, Maxwell didn't get his exit right either, and now he's trying to get away and trying for McCutcheon to get into the back of Crabb. Maxwell's trying to escape here. James Barry's trying to hold back Simon Edwards. It's going to be tough for him here as well, because Edwards has got the pace with what we're going to presume would be a skinny wing again. But we'll see what happens here. Great action all the way through the field from 1st right the way down to 8th.
Yeah, 2 separate battles at the moment, and we saw this for a large portion of the 1st race as well, although it did just peter out towards just a battle for 4th place actually towards the end of that one. But at the end of lap 7 here, we've still got it going on for the lead at the same time, which is very encouraging indeed. And at the moment, John McCutcheon would indeed be gaining points in the championship, albeit only 3 of them as things stand, to bring it down to a 21-point margin. Can he bring it down maybe to a 16-point margin as things stand? Can Edwards? maybe not even make this one of his drop rounds. Well, he goes up to 4th place at the moment. That's 28 points to this race. To add to his 18 from previous, that would mean he would still make this drop round, but nevertheless, he's doing all right for the moment and doing all he can. Here goes McCutcheon again. His best chance previously was into turn 1. What about this time? Can he make the move? Well, we're going to have to find out a bit later, because he's, well, still side by side, I'm going to guess, and now he's through. So, through on Crab. Well, no, it's not done yet. Crab is close and looking at the inside, but no, McCutcheon has the place.
Yeah, but for how long? That's going to be the question here. How much longer is he going to be able to hold on? He's down to under attempt. You can see it there as well. Crab's trying to go around the outside. Maxwell missed a trick. He should have followed McCutcheon. McCutcheon had Crab pushed out to the outside. Now Edwards is coming. Now Barry's coming. Now Busson's coming. Now Richie's coming. It's going to be a 6-way fight, buddy. It's going to be a 6-way fight over the next few laps.
Could well be. Edwards looks like he's joining in at the moment with Barry, Busson, LeMay, McRitchie, possibly even all in tow. This could be quite incredible, but McCutcheon has the lead now, and can he get away as a result? Is he going to find it easier to get away than Crab and Maxwell did? Because what we saw earlier on was Crab and Maxwell only able to fight with one another and neither of them able to get away from the other. However, McCutcheon could find himself with a little bit more luck.
Yeah, maybe, but they're not going to let him go here. They're not going to let him go. They've all just got to decide how they're going to fit in with each other. Are they going to fight and hold each other up, or are they going to try and make the breakaway away? That's going to be the question. Crab has decided he's going to try and go after McCutcheon. Maxwell's got Edwards closing on him. Busson is just about trying to get past Barry, and he's going to have that corner due to Barry running very, very wide there. So Busson himself is going to try and now go forward. He's now 1.17 seconds from Edwards to Busson, but Edwards is not far away from Maxwell here.
Yeah, he's very close now to making this a pretty decent day for himself, actually. So, can Edwards find a way through and find a way into this fight? At the moment, he's not scoring many points at all today. Only 18 in the opening race and 28 in this race here. By my maths, that makes it only 46. His worst round of the season so far. And even a 3rd place would not improve that situation. It would still be his worst result of the season so far, but it wouldn't be a bad one by any means. He would still lose 8 points in his championship lead, though. There's the fight for 5th. Busson, Barry, LeMay, McRitchie, all nose to tail. And that was a small look from the inside from Barry, but not able to make it pay. Busson hangs on to 5th place.
Yeah, Busson made a mistake there, unfortunately, and just couldn't. He just manages to hold on, but Barry was close. What about Maxwell? Maxwell's chasing down Crab. Crab's chasing down McCutcheon, and they're all being chased down by Simon Edwards. So it looks like Phil Glover's had a moment. George Gonzaga's been off track as well. So unfortunately for them guys, they've lost a bit of position in here. Clark and Graham Brown having a good old scrap further down as well at the back end. This is the last of the fighters, really, down to in 12th place here. But they're still scrapping it out. Bird has got Dela Cruz, as you saw at the top of your picture, but Crab has got McCutcheon getting away a bit by bit here. He's got to try and get rid of He's got to try and get rid of Maxwell, and he's got to get back onto the end of McCutcheon.
Well, Crab defends to the inside, and now Maxwell's going to go straight through. He's going to get the slipstream of McCutcheon, but Crab stays alongside cleverly into turn 1, and so we'll keep him there. Tucked to the inside, can't maximise the exit of the corner, and so Maxwell will hang on for now, but Crab's still there. That was very close. Maxwell had full confidence there that he could chop in front there and keep 2nd place, and that's what happens as Busson goes off into turn 3.
Yeah, he did there, unfortunately, as well for Busson. He's now at the back end of this pack with McRitchie behind him and Barry and LeMay. These guys still scrapping it out. The front 3 still scrapping. 2v2 going down into the hairpin. LeMay is so early on the brakes there. It's almost dangerous from LeMay about how early he is, and that brings everybody up. Look at the gap that Barry's got just because LeMay braking early into that hairpin. LeMay is actually lost a bunch of time to James Barry, almost 1.1 seconds from the hairpin to the run up into turn 10. It's crazy how early he seems to be on the brakes.
Yeah, it is pretty. It's always interesting actually to see when people do it, because depends on a lot of things, of course, but sometimes it's just a very regular thing, and for whatever reason someone doesn't have the confidence compared to the other. Now the battle really is for 6th place here. LeMay, Bousson and McRitchie in that group, and up here it's Maxwell, Crabb and Edwards. Now, can Simon Edwards salvage a 2nd place? Because that would be enough to prevent this from becoming a drop round, or not to prevent it from becoming a drop round, but he would be a little bit more secure in that. Now he dives to the inside. That was a good move in the end. It's pretty wide from him, though, and Crabb can't come back at him by the looks of things. So he's going to have to be at turn 1 if he does. Edwards with the move and the straight line speed again is going to serve him well. Will Crabb dive to the inside or go around the outside like he did with Maxwell? Well, it's going to be inside line, and he goes through. Oh, Edwards with a big opposite lock, and he did very well to save that.
Yeah, Edwards with a big old snap there, but Richie's now in the fight with Bousson and LeMay, so it's very, very tough battling all the way through. McCutchinson's opened up 1.5 seconds over Paul Crabb. Crabb's opened up about 8 tenths over Edwards. Have we just watched the battles deteriorate over the last half of that lap?
Well, maybe up front, but not back here. LeMay, Bousson, McRitchie still going on, and Bousson's got some places to make up here, of course. He went off at turn 3 a couple of laps ago, and he's not got long to rectify those positions lost.
He hasn't got long here. Paul Crabb trying to get back into Maxwell. Edwards trying to get back in as well. Bousson's coming back through the field again, taking advantage of Paul LeMay. And again, LeMay just needs to be a bit more grrr, and he's not being grrr enough here. If McRitchie had followed Bousson through, LeMay would have lost that position as well. He's too tentative.
He may well do.
Yeah, he's too tentative.
He might well lose out on this position anyway. McRitchie's going to have to go around the outside of Bishop, and actually decides not to, I think, in the end. But Bousson is back through again. I think it was always going to be difficult to hold back Bousson, though, here, really. I think he's been one of the top 5 drivers of the day, and he's just a little bit out of position in this race because of the last couple of laps, but he's back to 6th at least now. Does LeMay have enough straight line speed to maybe give it another go into the final corner? Well, maybe. He looks to the outside, and no, can't find his way through here for the moment. So Bousson hangs on to 6th place, and I imagine that may well stay the same for the remaining 2 laps as well.
I agree here as well. I agree with you, and I've got a funny feeling unless LeMay can get some muscles in his arms and start building and pushing and being a little bit more, and he's done it there a little bit, but is he going to be able to hold it as they come into turn 2 now as well? Just watch the earliness of his braking here. Watch the earliness of LeMay. It seems to be incredibly early. You know, we're about, what are we at the moment? 5-7 back, 5-6, 5-4, 5-3. We've caught the draft, we're coming in. But he's just, I don't know, maybe it's like now, he's at the free cone, and now look at it. You know, it just seems crazy, and then he can't get out, and now we're only 2 tenths coming in.
It didn't seem so bad that time, but he did seem to miss the apex a bit, and he's not got a very good run off the corner, so he could be in a lot of trouble here. Bousson goes back down the inside again at Cunningham, and that was a good move. Late on the brakes, pretty decisive, but LeMay goes round the outside in hopes of coming back through the next couple of corners at Collier, and then turn 11 as well, and Bousson can't do it round the outside there. It's just too long of a corner, and he's going to get dived here by Bird, maybe. No, he just missed the apex on purpose there for some reason. Bird has actually gone through, and McRitchie behind.
Yeah, McRitchie and Bird. Bird's got through as well. Bird's trying to come back through the field. I'd love to see JB Bird on pole. I would literally love to see what he could do from there. Paul Crabb and Simon Edwards are still close together here. Maxwell's got the gap down to less. Well, he did have it down at one point from Paul Crabb. He got it out above a second, and then unfortunately it's come back down again. Edwards can't get past Crabb going down the Allman, so they're going to be on the final lap now. And this is anybody's game.
Here we go. It's the Final lap of the race, and Edwards can't find his way through on Crab for the moment. As of right now, this would be his worst performance in a round of any this season. He would lose a third of his championship lead, and it would be another big day for John McCutcheon as he starts to worm his way into this championship conversation. And off he goes. Simon Edwards not happy with that car, and surely he won't be able to pass Crab now with too much to make up on this last lap.
No, too much of a gap. The only opportunity might, well, unless Crab makes an absolute almighty error, which I can't see. He's been on it all the time here. I think it's going to be what LeMay, Buson, Burnham and Ritchie do, but I've got a funny feeling it's going to be Buson hanging on to that 6th place with LeMay trying to close in on him as well, and I don't think LeMay's going to get close enough. I don't know. I don't know with Paul LeMay.
Well, let's see. Looks like it's going to be 7th unless he can get past Buson at the end. I said on the penultimate lap that it would be easy for McCutcheon to finish, for Buson to finish in 6th place, but then he immediately got overtaken, so that was weird. But anyway, he's 6th now and should be fine to get to the end, although I said that before. So let's see. It will be a battle between them and probably Crab and Barry as well. Crab's made a mistake on this last lap now, and Edwards will still not avoid his worst performance in a round so far. However, he will at least finish on the podium here in the second race. It's going to be John McCutcheon, though, doing the double here at Sebring. The first time we've seen anybody take 2 rounds in a row for 4 weeks. This time it's John McCutcheon, and he does it at Sebring, ahead of Maxwell and Edwards. And what about Barry? Does he get grabbed to the line? Very close, but not quite.
Yeah, LeMay didn't get boost on either here. What about David Walters and Michael LeMay? They're going to be on a run down to the line as well. It is going to be Michael LeMay. He's going to hold on to that position with David Walters behind him. And then we've got a long way back to poor old Phil Glover. I think Glover had a bit of a moment here as well, unfortunately. But this is how Simon Edwards got past Paul Crab. Oh, is that just a slowdown for Paul Crab? And that's why he got past him.
Out of the hairpin, you can get them sometimes if you run a bit too wide on the exit there. Just through the sort of the weird jink to the left that there is, you can go a bit too wide there and get a slowdown rather bizarrely. So that seems to have been the case there, but nevertheless, it hasn't prevented Simon Edwards from avoiding his worst round so far. And so John McCutcheon gains 8 points, and that's before any bonuses, of course, are totted up at the end of the day. So we'll figure that out post-race, of course, and get that to you for the next broadcast when we get the championship standings. But here are the results. It's John McCutcheon winning by 2.3 seconds ahead of Luke Maxwell. Simon Edwards finishing on the podium. Paul Crab just beating James Barry to the line. Mike Buson finishing just ahead of Paul LeMay as well, with Jamie Bird in the same group. James Ritchie dropped off at the end there to finish night with Sergio De La Cruz on his own in 10th. Paul Clark recovered to 11th after that opening lap incident with Michael LeMay in 12th. David Walsh finished 13th ahead of George Gonzaga. Graham Brown was 15th ahead of Jeff McIntyre and Phil Justin on within a minute. Phil Glover over a minute back, but everyone getting to the end of the race this time, which was good. So pleased about that. And now we can go into some post-race interviews with some of the drivers, including John McCutcheon, who joins us now after 2 race wins tonight. Welcome in, John. Good to have you with us. 2 race wins for you. That's 3 in the last 4 for you as well. Were you expecting to be quite so quick around Sebring here tonight?
Practice went well. The practice I did earlier on, I was quite competitive, so I was confident going into the race. And then I did quality on my race setup, so 32 litres of fuel. So that kind of knackered that up a little. But I don't know what happened with Simon and Barry. They had a contact and this went right through the gap in race 1.
Yeah, I think in the second race, Simon just didn't seem to make up as many places off the start as you. And then, of course, you're always on the back foot from that position onwards, really. But you will have gained 8 points, I believe, in the championship here today, depending on... by the way, did you get any races where you haven't scored any incident points today or in this season? Because apparently there's 3 bonus points for that these days.
Yeah, the feature race there, I did no points, but the first race I run wide, turn 1, so I got 1x for that. But this feature race, I clean race.
I think you'll get 3
Surprisingly.
points for that.
I think it's just 1, is it not?
Well, I thought it was 3, but you could be right as well. Based on what I read earlier, it's 3, and everyone who's got bonus points so far seems to be on a multiple of 3. So I'm going to, unless that's a coincidence, I'm going to guess that. Just how difficult was that around here at Sebring? It's always difficult to know with some of these circuits how easy it is to, or hard it is to stay on the road.
Oh, it's a very tricky track. Everyone knows that. The bumps and the curbs are horrendous around here, especially in this car. There's no forgiveness in it. And then we had a little tussle with the Radline boys. The boys are quick and hard to pass. So it was all good, clean, plenty of room left. No contacts or anything. So it was a good race.
Yeah, can't have any complaints. What about next week at Road Atlanta for our second of our American circuits?
Yes, like that. Always one of my favourites. Has been for forever, I guess. So looking forward to that.
Or like Road Atlanta, or at least I hope so. Is there anyone I'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
A shout out to my teammates there, the Team Radline boys, back in racing there at the front.
Congratulations, John, on a double win here tonight, the full 65 points, so we look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Ewan. Cheers, Paul.
Thanks very much, John McCutcheon, double race winner here tonight at Sebring. Luke Maxwell was up there tonight as well, and we can welcome him in too. Welcome in, Luke. Good to have you with us as well. Tell us about that second race. You started pretty high up the order as well by your standards. Third place in race 2, but immediately got into contact, unfortunately, with Paul Clark. Just tell us about the start from your perspective.
Yeah, I've just been watching it back, actually, to be fair. There's a little bit of netcode there, but yeah, I think we were kind of alongside before, and then coming into that corner, I was trying to keep enough of a wheel in to kind of make it obvious I was there, but I might have been a bit late. So apologies, Paul, for that one, if that's on me. But the stewards have a look at it, I suppose, and there's some new stewarding going on, so we'll see how that one pans out. But yeah, I felt it was okay. So
exactly, there are new stewards in now. Does that ever factor into your thinking while you're racing, or is there too much going on?
There should be, but it's still hard when you're in the midst of it, especially a track like that where it's so close and so bumpy. It's hard. There's big curbs. It's not always easy to keep abreast and leave everyone space. It's a tricky track for that. But I think I don't know how was there much carnage at the start or?
A little bit. Not all of it Sebring related, I wouldn't add. I think there was one incident off the start which could have happened anywhere, because it was on sort of the starting straight, if you like. That could have happened anywhere.
Yeah.
But in terms of this circuit, we just heard from John that it's a tricky one to drive. What was it like to race in? You were involved in a bit more racing than he was. What was the racing like?
I got bullied in the first race, I think. It was very, very tricky. I ran a different setup. I'd been practiced yesterday and made a few tweaks and ran an okay time, I think, compared to others. Obviously, I wasn't as quick as John or Simon. And then I kind of went and tweaked too much tonight. And then the first race, I was running that setup, and then I went back to the other one and felt a lot more comfortable. So I didn't have a good run in race 1, to be fair. So, but as I said to Mike, that's good. It puts me higher up the grid for race 2. There's no championship to go for now. Missed too many races and not done well enough. So in it for fun, really now.
Absolutely. Is there anyone I'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Give a shout out to you guys. Yeah, doing a cracking job as usual. Keep it up.
Thanks very much, Luke Maxwell. Thanks very much for joining us tonight, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Cheers, boys. Bye.
Thanks so much, Luke Maxwell there, chatting to us at the end of tonight's racing at Sebring. Simon Edwards can also now join us after snatching that podium on the very last lap of race 2. Welcome in, Simon. Good to have you with us. Was this a circuit you weren't particularly looking forward to, weren't enjoying driving? Because it wasn't your, in fact, it was your lowest point score of the season so far.
No, I really enjoy this track. I just it wouldn't work for me.
Fair enough.
The feature race first lap. So it was going to be difficult to come back. I thought if Paul held John up long enough, I could get to that pack. But then trying to get past Paul is always pain. He's a good defender.
Well, tricky, but I also found in watching the racing that people were finding it a bit difficult to pass you. Did you notice that? Did you have a bit more straight line speed on than some of the others? Because it's
I might
appeared
have
that
had
way.
a touch, but not much. I think I was running the same as I was running last week, which was 1.7, which is not that far from max. But yeah, it's once I got a run on somebody, I could get a really good run on them, but if they had a run, I couldn't get near them. I ran out of revs before I got there. So yeah, but it worked well to be able to pass Paul initially, but I thought is he going to stay behind me and let me catch Luke up? No. And then I lost control trying to cut back on him.
Yeah, that was a close moment, actually. We thought you were going to get in the wall at one point, but saved it rather well. This circuit, of course, remarkably different to next week at Road Atlanta. How are you expecting that to go?
Oh, I love Road Atlanta as well, so that'll be another good race.
Yeah, it should be. A big fan of Road Atlanta as well. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Just everybody in the league, I think. That was a good race. Everybody was trying to be clean. I know I got I got punted off in the first race by James, but I owed him one, so I'm not going to hold that against him. Yeah, everybody was trying to be clean, even if we might made slight contact.
Well, it's these things happen. Thanks very much, Simon, for joining us once again, and we'll hopefully see you next week.
Yeah, you too. See you.
Thanks very much. Simon Edwards there, chatting to us after third place in race 2 for him. And now to Phil Glover, who always comes for a chat into our broadcast. Welcome in, Phil. Good to have you with us. Is it safe to say that this was not one of your better weeks in terms of results here today?
I'm trying to remain happy, but I don't
what went wrong for you in the races tonight?
The first one, it was absolutely my fault, and I bumped into Jamie. I think I got a good start, actually. Maybe made one or two people up on the grid on race 1. But yeah, I just got caught out and tapped into Jamie. So I had to obviously let him go by, and then I was pretty much at the back then. And then there's no real catching. Well, for me, the differential in speed means you just can't catch people up. And then race 2, I think, and I don't know. I don't know whether it was my fault or Jeff's, but I think we came together, and that basically put me at the back, or thereabouts. I'm just looking now. I didn't finish right at the back, but it pretty much was on the road, I think. So yeah, it was a bit bumpy as well for me, my rig.
Did you turn it down?
I didn't actually turn it down, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
I did turn the, it's got like tactile transponders. I did turn those down a bit, thinking of the neighbours. So,
yes, it's. I can imagine at Sebring, to be honest, probably the most strenuous on the simulator. Are you expecting Road Atlanta to be any better from that perspective or results perspective?
I'm hoping it's going to be better than tonight. I don't mind that. It's quite a technical track, isn't there? There's a couple of blind. Well, there's certainly one blind corner as you come over the rise. That's yeah. So yeah, we'll wait and see. I guess
we will, and we'll see you there next week, of course. Is there anyone like to give a shout out to before we let you
go? Just everybody in the league, really. Was it a good race for you guys, commentating wise?
Yeah, it was not bad. Yeah, it was not bad. I enjoyed the racing tonight. I've got to say, I'm not a Sebring fan, as some people may know, but the racing made up for it tonight. There's no doubt about that. But just a shame you couldn't have got some better results on it. But
yeah, well,
these things happen.
I'm not doing too bad in the championship at the moment, so that'll probably be one of my drop weeks, won't it, I guess.
Possibly 12 coming in, so yeah, maybe a top 10's possible this season. We'll wait and see. But Phil, thanks very much for coming to chat to us once again. We look forward to hearing from you again next week.
Yep, see you later. Bye.
Thanks very much, Phil Glover there, chatting to us at the end of tonight's racing at Sebring. So that's going to do it for us, James. As I say, I'm not the biggest fan of Sebring, but the racing made up for it tonight. It was good.
Yeah, it was, and I know you don't like Sebring. You moan about it every time we come here, despite what cars we're putting up here. as well. But I like Sebring. It's a good track. Going forward is Road Atlanta. That is one of my favourite tracks. I think that alongside, Interlagos is right up there. I think Road Atlanta is going to be absolutely epic. So let's see how it goes. But it's been good evening of racing so far.
Yeah, it was a good evening of racing. Very much enjoyed it nevertheless. And yeah, everyone loves Road Atlanta, including me. So looking forward to that in 1 week's time. We've got Monza, Bathurst and Donington to come after that. So make sure you subscribe to the JPB YouTube channel so that you can check out all of the racing that is coming, not only in the Radical Race Series, but everything else as well that we bring to you. So I hope to see you at one of those other broadcasts, but for now we will bid our farewells. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Jen Parfitt here this evening, and until we see you in 1 week's time at Road Atlanta, it's goodbye for now.